Welcome to the Say It Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Vasavi Kumar. If you're eager to gain clarity, speak with unwavering confidence, and liberate those inner voices, you're in the perfect spot. My mission here is to empower you to break free, find fulfillment, and ignite your passion. You ready? It's time to say it out loud. I've put together a guide of my top 10 tested and proven to work practical strategies and habits to help bright women like you say no, set your boundaries right, live confidently, and build healthy relationships, starting with the relationship you have with yourself. This is a self-paced guide, and I can't wait for you to dig into it so you can start becoming your most confident self, because she's in there waiting for you. Head to the link in my show notes or go to vasavikumar.com/guide and grab it today.
Welcome to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm Nicole Eaton, author of the books Rock Your Soul and Rock Your Comeback, as well as an intuitive therapist, and I'm here to remind you of your power. This podcast focuses on mindset and inviting the universe in to create a life that feels so good, so aligned, and so authentic. I hope you're ready. Hey guys, welcome back to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, and this episode was so much fun to create for you. I got to sit down with Vasavi Kumar. She's the host, voiceover actress, and author of the book Say It Out Loud. This conversation was so good and so powerful, and all about the power of your words and what you speak into existence, the way you talk to yourself, the way you love yourself. It includes her incredible story of surviving self-betrayal and reclaiming her power as she transitioned into a new phase of life. So make sure to let me know what you think. Make sure to follow her with all the links in the bio. Screenshot and share. Tag me in it if you share on social media. It means a lot. And send to a friend who needs it because that helps the podcast keep going. Also coming up this week in our Comeback Club, the online membership that is in the link in the bio, we are launching our very first new training. So training that I have never shared with anybody ever before. Nobody's ever had a chance to get to it. It is the Trusting the Universe training, which is maybe the most actionable training I've done for trusting in the universe, with a surprise guest. So that is this Friday. You'll have access to that if you join the Comeback Club. We're also going live a lot in there, so make sure to check it out. It's only $22 a month. You can swing by and see how you feel about it and stick around as long as you feel called. And also keep an eye out for my new and latest book, Rock Your Comeback, The Down-to-Earth Guide to Reclaiming Your Power, which is officially launching August 22nd. Keep an eye out for the pre-sale, which should be coming up in the next week or so. And I love you all. As always, make sure to support the podcast in any way you can. It means a ton. Thanks. Welcome back to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Eaton, and I'm here with Vasavi Kumar. She is the host, voiceover actress, and author of the book, Say It Out Loud. So say it out loud. What does saying it out loud mean to you?
Well, it means a lot of things to me, okay? But in this season of my life, saying it out loud is really my trick, my hack, my tip. I hate saying these words, but for manifestation, right? Like when I want to manifest something in my life, I say it out loud. I say, this is what I'm going to do, or I've already done this, or I tell everyone that I meet, this is what I'm doing in this season of my life. Do you know anyone who would want to hire me for this? Like I use my voice to get what I want. That's what saying it out loud means for me.
I love that. That aligns with this podcast so much because I think there's people who are working to find their voice. There's people who are trying to connect with their power, who are even like maybe scared to say it out loud, even scared to say it inside. You know, I think sometimes we feel that disconnect. I'm curious what a time in your life that you maybe weren't able to say it out loud and how you moved through that.
Man, I would say most recently, it wasn't most recently. It was in my 30s. I'm 41 now. So I was in a relationship. This is such a good question, by the way. Thank you. A time where I wasn't. I've really been honoring that season of my life where I used to refer to it as like toxic and dysfunctional. But what it really was, it was an abusive relationship. It was an emotionally and psychologically abusive relationship. And I never allowed myself to actually say that it was abusive. I want to give credit to my very good friend, Allison Charles. She said that on a podcast, and that hit me so hard. And when I saw her in person just last week, I was like, thank you so much for saying that. She had said this. She said she used to call her previous relationship toxic and dysfunctional, but what it really was at its core was abusive. And until she really allowed herself to admit that she was in an abusive relationship, she was not really able to heal and move forward, right? We're just watering down what happened to us. During that period in my life, I would, oh my God, even when I talk about it, I can still feel myself back then. I was with this guy who was 8 years younger than me, and it was post-divorce. I had just gotten divorced, and we were together, and I really did want to like be alone and understand my independence and become more emotionally self-reliant. My husband and I, ex-husband, we really grew apart. We had a lot of love for each other. We really did. We didn't have a bad divorce, or it wasn't messy or ugly or anything. It was very peaceful. The most peaceful breaking up I've ever had, actually. I got into this relationship immediately after. It's so funny. I say that, the minute you say you want something, you'll start having the distractions just come flying at you. And in those moments, you're being tested, right? Are you sure you say you want that thing? Because you're starting to get bright, shiny object syndrome. That's what happened. I said I wanted my freedom, and I said I wanted to be single, and this marriage wasn't working. And then maybe 3 months after we got divorced, I started living with somebody. They started living with me. Now, I'm grateful for that relationship because it taught me how little I respected myself and how much I would be willing to abandon and betray. It was the farthest from my soul I ever went. So that taught me a lot of lessons. I mean, it's taken me a good solid 7 years to build myself to the person that you see today. And I really like who I am today. I've worked very hard to be. I've had to go through hard stuff to be who I am today. But in that relationship, Nicole, I remember laying next to this person, wanting so desperately to not be in the relationship. We were abusing drugs together. We were using cocaine. It got worse. So not only I was emotionally and psychologically dependent on this person, I was also chemically hooked on a drug. There was a lot of dependency going on. And I was raised in a great family. My family's Hindu. My parents are immigrants. I mean, I don't have parents that modeled any sort of behavior related to drugs, alcohol. Neither of my parents drank or did drugs, and generous human beings, the kind that people of integrity. My mom was a harsh immigrant mother, but she really raised us with a lot of great values. My father was a very kind, generous man, still is. We were raised by excellent parents, but when all your needs are not being met as a child, you will go find them somewhere else, right? You will learn how to find them somewhere else. So in that relationship, in that relationship, I did not say it out loud to myself. I really was very good at bullshitting myself. So yeah, that was that relationship, but I'm out of it now. So yeah. I'm happy that I can talk about it. Yeah.
I love that the power of words is so important. And even just the shift from the word toxic to the word abusive, that's a soul shaking thing, right? Is when we go from saying, oh yeah, this is toxic. Toxic, we know it's bad for us. Abusive, we're in danger. We're in emotional danger. We're in spiritual danger. One of the things that you said was, I've never felt so far from myself. And that, I think, is when we start getting off track and we start getting off our alignment. That's what it feels like, is I have never been so far from myself.
I know that there are people who are just awakening, or they're just starting to wake up and become more aware. But even then, I always say, we all know deep down when we're doing ourselves dirty. We all know it. We may be used to it and familiar with betraying ourselves. Like, oh yeah, that's just who I am. I'm just a people pleaser. I let people, but we know it's not healthy. I like to give us human beings a little bit more credit. And I do believe that it is never too late for any human being to come back to themselves. It's never too late. Unless you are dying on your deathbed, it's not too late for you to be like, you know what? I'm done treating myself like a piece of shit. I'm done putting up with this bullshit. I would never treat somebody like that. It's okay to have higher standards for yourself. You can change that right now. You can say from here on out. And you know what? Here's why I love making commitments, because the minute you commit, you start to see how shaky you are. Right? Or you might see how strong you are, right? Anytime I commit, I'm going to do 10K a day, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day. You start off strong, right? That's me. I'm obviously telling a personal story. You start off strong. And then you're after a month, you're oh, I'm not going to walk today. oh, you know what? I'm just going to do 2,000 steps. So you get to see your patterns. That's why I love making commitments. And the best commitment you could make is the one to yourself, because you start to see where you give up on yourself. By the way, I did walk 6,000 steps this morning. I will finish the remaining 4 after all these. I have a bunch of podcast interviews. But my point is, what I want everyone listening to is that, make those commitments, say it out loud to yourself, and start putting yourself first so that you can start coming back home to yourself,
I'm wondering if you can pinpoint a moment or a series of moments or something that happened that like shook you out of it. So just if we're thinking of the journey of like not saying it to saying it.
What a great man. I love these questions because I'm pretty damn self-reflective, but then, I get to this beautiful question. I'm like, man, I never thought of that. Instinctively want to answer with is saying that it was a series of moments.
Yeah.
It was a gradual chipping away at myself and these old ways of being. I've had pivotal moments in my life, from getting arrested in 2017, going to rehab a few months later, relapsing a few months after that, getting a job on TV as a TV host, going back to rehab again. And that was the last of the chaos as it relates to like substances. I went back to rehab, March 2019. But even after that, Nicole, I stopped using cocaine. It's been over 4 years now since I've never touched cocaine since March of 2019. Even though I stopped doing the substances, I still had to work on my emotional sobriety. Emotional sobriety has been the hardest thing for me because that's deeply wired, right? How I react to things, how I respond to things, how I process things, how my nervous system deals in certain situations. And what is its baseline? That's the harder part. And it's okay because you're with you for the long haul. So I don't expect myself to trust myself right away when I've broken trust with myself so many times, right? Like, think about if someone's cheated on you over and over again. How hard is it going to be for you to trust them? I've cheated myself over and over and over again. So I want everyone listening, like, please stop speeding up your growth, right? Like, stop trying to speed the repair process up. Stop trying to speed up the repair process. You fucked yourself over way too many times to count. Don't all of a sudden expect these younger parts of you, these very wounded parts of you to be like, okay, well, we're fine. Like, no, this is reparation with yourself. And that's going to take time. So to answer your original question, it was never one specific thing. It was everyday commitment to myself, to stop being nasty to myself, to start being kinder, to honor myself. If I like to pause before I said yes, put away the computer when all I really, instead of working, like actually watch that show on Netflix. It was like making a nice dinner. And even if I'm just eating alone because I'm not in a relationship, like enjoying my evenings, like those little micro moments with ourselves that really lead to, where we want to be and how we want to feel within.
Ooh. Yeah, I love this because I think that the word you use, reparation with yourself, like that like speaks to me because I think that we all have our own like self-sabotage bullshit, right? We all have some area of our life where we have sabotaged over and over again, whether that's our career, whether that's our relationships, whether that's just our commitments to ourselves. And I love how you frame that. It isn't about this. And for some people, there is like a spark of something that shifts them into the right direction. But going back to what you said before, maybe you've known all along that the shit you're doing isn't working, that it's not leading you down a path of like who you're ultimately meant to be. And making those little micro moments count where you enjoy your day, you make good food, like that is so underrated. It doesn't have to be those massive moves, those tiny things.
Let me share, because I bet you, I feel like you should put an Amazon affiliate link in the show notes, because let me just tell you what I'm about to say. You want to know a little switch that I made? I got ambient lighting for my living room. I got these LED lights off of Amazon, and I started to curate my environment. I noticed when I'm in a relationship, romantic Vasavi is full force, right? I mean, I'm a Taurus, okay? I'm as romantic as they come.
Hard.
Yes, I want the silk. I want the flowers. I want the candles and nice. I'm very sensual. Things have to look good. Things have to feel beautiful. If I'm with a man, you need to smell good. If I can't smell you, I'm not going to have sex with you. Everything needs to smell good. And that's just like how I feel, right? So these little micro moments, I got ambient lighting. I put candles for me, my growth edge was, Vas, just because you're single doesn't mean you're not going to date yourself. So I started really dating myself, like the way that I would cook for a man, right? Or even cook for my friends, but let's just say cook for a man, right? Because like that was really me getting back in touch with my feminine. I went to culinary school, Nicole. Like I'm an amazing chef. I know how to plate. I can cook without like measuring anything, right? I'm just excellent at putting stuff together. I started doing that for myself. I got all new dishware because all my dishware was from my previous relationship with the abusive one. I gave it all to Goodwill. I got all new dishes for myself. I started getting more plants. I started cooking beautiful meals, playing jazz, John Mayer playlist all day, every day. Background, I started setting vibes in my house. What is the standard and the tone and the expectation that I want to live by, right? I need vibes. I need it to be peaceful. I need it to feel beautiful. I don't do chaos. That's really what I had to embody for myself. And that was the greatest gift I can give to myself because I was addicted to chaos for so many years. I sought it because it was familiar. It was familiar. Chaos was familiar. Abuse was familiar.
So many people are addicted to chaos and don't even realize they're addicted to chaos. But, you can find them around every corner, gossiping, talking, investing themselves in drama that's not there. I see it a lot. I see it a lot. I have to often pull people back into, even in a therapy session, I have to be like, okay, this time is about you. I don't care what they're doing. This time's about you. Yes. And I love the idea of like, energetically making your space the energy of what you want, the energy of what feels good. I mean, those are powerful, small shifts in your day, in your home that basically say, self, I love you. You're worth showing up for. You're worth the energy that I'm putting into you. I know myself well enough to know the things that feel good when I feel love.
That is exactly right. And I want to say about the addicted to chaos thing. I know I just said that, but even as I heard you say it, I'm like, I really don't even like the term addicted to chaos. Because it sounds like a very shamey thing because it's like, oh man, I'm addicted to chaos. And as being called an addict pretty much the majority of my life, addiction is just, it's a disease of the mind, right? But if we want to say it differently, just a nice little reframe with words, maybe we're not addicted to chaos. Maybe we're just uncomfortable with peace. Maybe we're scared of the peace. Maybe we're reluctant to have peace in our life because we had it and then it got taken away from us. Or maybe we never had it. So we're unfamiliar with peace. Maybe we're not addicted to chaos. Maybe we're unfamiliar with peace. I like that because unfamiliar with peace then makes me curious, like, what would it feel like to be familiar with peace? How do we have more peace in our life? It's just a different way of saying it. Hopefully getting the same results,
Yes, that makes so much sense to me. And I think if we're going back to the power of words, right? Toxic or abusive, addicted or unfamiliar with, those two things, it makes it more manageable in some ways to not say, oh, this is a powerless thing that I have no control over, but instead, how do I become familiar? What would that feel like? What would that look like? How would I embody that? And it is partly reprogramming. We do have to soothe our nervous system long enough for us to be able to sit still. Like that is a real thing. So there's no discounting the deeper piece of that. But I think that making an intentional approach by reframing your relationship with that discomfort, that's a snaps moment. That's a powerful moment. I love that.
Words matter, right? Here's the thing. Imagine yourself being this eager, creative child. And, you wouldn't say that to it's just pick your words, right? Pick your words and what is going to motivate you to stop doing the shit that you're doing. When I hear addicted to chaos, I feel shitty.
Yeah.
And I think this is a teachable moment for everyone listening right now. Like the fact that we're both, you're a trained therapist, I'm a trained therapist. And this really just is embodiment right here is that you don't have to be perfect and figure it out. As a licensed therapist, as a coach, I don't try to act like I have everything, back in the day, that's what I did. That was my identity. I used to feel like I had to have all the answers figured out. I'm not allowed to be human and learn and grow out loud. And I think I call bullshit because here's the thing. I know people look to me. I know they look up to me. I know that there are people who see me as a source of information. And so if I don't allow people to see that part of me that is growing and learning out loud and is evolving, then that's false advertising. And I don't want to do that, right? I don't want people to look at me and be like, she has it all figured out. No, the fuck I don't. I know a lot of things and there's a lot of other things that I'm learning. There's a lot of things that I'm growing. So I think even this conversation, Nicole, I think is so powerful because it shows that at any given moment, you can switch your languaging.
Yeah.
I said addicted to chaos. You said addicted to chaos. When I heard you say it, I'm like, I actually don't like the sound of that. Let's not say that. So see, this is a great opportunity, going back to the fact that at any given moment, we can choose to speak differently. to use different words, to get the job done. At the end of the day, what matters are the results. Is how you're speaking to yourself getting you closer to those results or no? Yes or no? That's it. So you get to choose your words.
I love a good mindful moment. And I think if we're talking about those micro moments, this is part of it, right? Is being able to say, ooh, did I like what I just said? That's one of the reasons therapy works so well, because you just have somebody reflecting back to your own verbiage, reflecting back to you. Did you really mean to say that? I like the same thing with like actually writing it out, like just jotting down my crazy, shitty thoughts, because then I can at least look at them outside my body and they're not just spinning, causing chaos in my head. And so, there is power in doing that and taking that to a different space that feels just a little bit better, that is still true and accurate, but not entirely disempowering to the work that can't be done. Yeah.
The word addicted and chaos just feel chaotic in my body. Unfamiliar piques my curiosity. Peace feels beautiful in my body.
Let's take a quick break. Having been in therapy since the age of 12, I know firsthand just how powerful the process of finding the right therapist is. Going to therapy and talking things out with my therapist has made me happier, clearer, and most importantly, I have a plan for my mental health. I have tools to be able to communicate with others, and also the tools to cope when life gets hard, which it does. So let me ask you a question. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be really hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with the therapist. There's a link in my description. It's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Vasavi. That's BetterHelp.com/Vasavi. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp, so you can connect with the therapist and see if it helps you. And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing out about insurance, who's in your network, or anything like that. I don't know where I would be without the help of therapy and my therapist, but I do know that life would feel that much harder. So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/Vasavi. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for supporting this podcast.
Yeah.
That's good.
This is good. I love this conversation. I knew before we jumped on it was going to be an awesome space. So you went from dealing with bipolar, dealing with addiction, abusive relationships. You're here, you wrote a book, and I know firsthand that sometimes after you wrote the book, there's the next steps, which, by the way, guys, make sure you check out the links. Make sure you follow her so that you can Say It Out Loud. I just know it's incredible. I can feel the energy through it. I know you're full of actionable tools and wisdom, so they're going to want to grab that. But I'm wondering what's next for you. We have all of these steps that lead you here. What happens next?
Okay, so before I share that, and I love that question because I think this might be the first podcast that I talk about what's next for me. I just want everyone listening, you can go to vasavikumar.com/order the book, and you can find me on Instagram at my name is Vasavi. And I say that because someone is listening to this right now and they might be like, oh shit, I got to follow her. Well, I'm giving you my handle right now. Go ahead and follow me. My name is Vasavi, and you can order my book. It's available everywhere, or you can go to my website, which will be in these show notes. So here's what's next for me. I feel like my book is the physical representation of my 40 years of living on this earth. So I'm done. I said to God the other day, thank you for all the lessons. I put it in a book and now somebody else will learn from it. What's next? I made a promise. I made a promise to God in 2019 when I went back to rehab the second time. I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? And I said to God, I promise you, if I get sober and I stay sober and I never go back to this devil's drug ever again. I promise you, I'll do whatever. Okay. Just help me get through this. So I really held that faith tightly with God. And I had a conversation and I said, I promise you, I won't ever go back to that again. And I meant it. So here I am. But I asked God, I said, but then you got to give me what I want. And then God said to me, I'll only give you everything you want if I know that you're loving yourself. I can't give you everything if I know you're not loving yourself. And so every day, Nicole, has been about, I'm going to get to it. I'm going to tell you what my new identities are in this season. But I just wanted to preface it by saying that, every day, if we can make that commitment, can I love myself a little bit more? Can I respect myself a little more? Can I give myself a little bit more grace, just a little more? I just heard those words so clearly since I was a kid. I'll give you everything you want, but I need to know that you're loving yourself. That's amazing. Yeah. It's like just forced me to just have to always ask myself, is this an act of love? Is this an act of love? Yes or no? What am I eating? What I'm putting in my body? Is this an act of love? What I'm watching? Do I want to do this? Do I want to pollute my brain with this? Right? So it's just asking yourself that question over and over. So in this season, because I promised with God, I'm really allowing myself to create whatever I want. And so this is what I did. And this is a really great action step for everyone listening, is to make your available for list. I made an available for list, which is a list that I'm looking at right now, is all the things that I want to get paid for in this season in my life, right? So I have voiceover work, commercial work, modeling, hosting events, like an MC, and like being an MC, YouTube channel host, red carpet interviewer. Oh my God. So these are the things that I've written down that I want to be available for. I have about 20 things on there. I also have what I'm available for in friendships and relationships. I'm available for reciprocal relationships. No more one-sided shit. No, thank you. And I have a bunch of stuff there. And then I also have available for fun. What are new things that I'm available for fun-wise, right? So I have exploring a new city, country solo. I do solo trips all the time, but stuff that I want to have more fun, playing my tennis, doing all that stuff. So long story long, to answer your question, I no longer identify with the role of therapist and coach. I am the talent in this season of my life. I am not building and helping people develop their talent through therapy and coaching. However, I am doing voice training for people. So I have a program coming out in August called Bold Voice Training. It is not a coaching program. It is a training program, which means you are using your voice. I am bringing real life examples, scenarios. You have homework. You are going to be speaking in front of people. Vasavi's not doing the talking. Vasavi has no problem saying it out loud. Y'all need to say it out loud. So I'm really excited. Like, I'm not doing the therapy or coaching. Let's focus on trauma for me. I'm not doing it anymore. I wrote a book, it's in the form of a book, but for me personally, I'm in the season of how do I want to use my creative brain? What is best for me mentally? I do have a psychiatric illness. I have bipolar disorder. I live with that. I'm on medication for that. How I make my money, how I spend my time really does affect my brain and my energy levels. So this is the best decision for me health-wise, mentally as well. So I'm still working with people. It's just in a different way. Like, I have a friend who wants to hire me to be her creative thought partner, and I'm like, yes, that's fun. We're creating stuff. We're not sitting here looking at the past. Like, listen, you have to understand, I was in therapy from the age of 12. I started therapy at the age of 12. I'm good now. I thought that was the only way for me to earn a living, was by helping other people with their pain. And what I realize now, since the book has been written, and I've been thinking about this, it's been 2 years. It's taken me 2 years to actually feel confident, pull the trigger. I'm doing a website rebrand. It's going to reflect this new identity of who I am. No therapy, no coaching lingo on there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm the last chapter of my book is to live your life out loud. And the prompt in the book, every chapter begins with the prompt that I want my reader to answer. Chapter 12, live your life out loud. What would your life look like if every part of you felt safe to say it out loud, right? So I have many different parts to me. I'm an amazing host. I'm actually emceeing my girlfriend's book launch party on Tuesday. She paid me to do it. I have a clear process. I'm excellent at it. And it's so easy to me. And I'm like, shit, this is the way I want to live and work. Easy for me. And I get bring in these parts of me that I've always thought were bad. Like, yes, in order to be an MC, you need to run a tight ship. You need to be very good with your time. You need to you're controlling the whole event, right? Because you are setting the tone. I love doing that. These are the things that all my exes would call me type A. Guess what? Someone loves me for my type A-ness. I can use my type A-ness to run a really good event. Like I'm on the money with the timing. Like my point that I want everyone listening to is like, there are so many different parts of you. And if you allow those parts of you to speak up, you might find that you're in the wrong profession and the wrong relationship. But if you don't let these other parts of you speak up, you're going to just keep doing the same thing over and over and wonder why your life feels the way it does or why it's not where you want it to be. So I let myself say it out loud. And this is what I'm doing now after the book. I'm a performer, I'm an entertainer, I'm a host, and I'm the artist.
Vasavi, this is so exciting. So here's what I love the most about what you just said is that a lot of people would be like, okay, I wrote a book and now my identity is tied to this version, what I'm giving when I wrote this. And you're saying, okay, well, this is who I've been. And I'm so glad I'm able to give this to the world, but I'm also going to follow my own guidance of saying it out loud and tell you exactly where I'm available for now and what that's going to look like. And just being available for, hosting your friend's gig and emceeing your friend's gig, like that alone is like, yes, I'm available for it. Of course you are. And now you're receiving it. And that's the really cool way that God works and that the universe works, is that when we start making strong decisions and saying it out loud, we are in a position to receive the things we desire. And we do not have to tie ourselves to who we've been in the past just because we worked hard on it. I think that's really powerful.
That is so right. It's the same thing with the relationship. You don't have to stay in a relationship just because you put years and money and time. Man, that was my number one reason. Going back to almost one of your original questions was, where in your life did you not say it out loud? This is such a great way to wrap up this conversation. Yeah. What a great way to call back. I also did comedy. So there's always a callback, right? We're ending the way we started, which is great. But oh my God, now I don't remember what the story was. I got so into it. What was I saying? Well, I don't remember what I was saying.
We were talking about the relationship and staying in a relationship that you don't have to just because.
Oh, yeah. In that previous relationship that we started off talking, the reason why I didn't leave Nicole was because I had invested so much time. We had amazing sex. And because I invited this person into my life, I invested this money, I invested all this time and energy. I was like, I didn't want to admit that it was a waste of time. I didn't want to admit defeat. And the best thing, I think, like if you can learn to admit defeat and just freaking move on, like surrender this, I'm done with this. Like that is the real flex for me. I used to be like, I put up with everything. Like I can handle it. Nope. I don't handle any of it. I don't put up with it, nothing. And it feels so good to just be out of that and say that out loud. Yeah.
So it's such a powerful conversation.
That's why we need to say, I wanted to just say these last words, that this is why we need to say it out loud, because if we keep it in our head, we can convince ourselves that where we are is where we need to be, where we should be. Oh, it's okay. I'm just going to hang in there. Like, fuck that noise. I'm too old. God loves me way too much. I don't need to be in anything that doesn't love me back.
Yeah. I actually had a client the other day who was in a 16-year relationship, and she was with an addict who kept relapsing. And she was like, I just feel like, am I being too impatient? I'm like, you've been patient for 16 years. If it was going to be different by now, it would have been different by now. Like giving ourselves grace when we're ready to leave something, and knowing that if we're being honest and true with ourselves, that it is always the right thing.
We need to know where other people end and where we begin. That is the root of codependency. We do not know where other people end and where we begin. You are a whole ass person. You came into this world alone. You are going to leave alone. You are a whole person. You are your own person. It's a hard pill to swallow for people, especially if they didn't have securely attached figures. I understand. I was that person. I still have traits of that person, but I'm very aware of it, and I have boundaries, and I see it now. I'm not in it. I see it when it happens. I can observe when codependent ways for me come up, and I know how to talk to myself. And I go, nope, we're not doing that. No. So it's a beautiful place to be. And that's why I use my voice. Hopefully someone listens to this. If they're in a shitty relationship and they're contemplating getting out, hopefully what I say will be maybe the thing that helps them get out. And so I want everyone to learn their life, learn from the mistakes, and be able to say it out loud to set another person free. That's it.
You're going to want to follow her. You're going to want to say it out loud. I'll link everything, but make sure you follow Vasavi on Instagram. And I'll drop all the links in the show notes, and I will tag you and everything, because you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Nicole.
This has been awesome.
You've been awesome. You've asked some. I'm fully energized after this conversation. Thank you. Yes.
Make sure to keep an eye out for my latest book, Rock Your Comeback, The Down-to-Earth Guide to Reclaiming Your Power, out this summer. I'd love to connect with you. Make sure to follow me on Instagram or TikTok at NicoleEaton.xo. Thanks for listening to the Rock Your Comeback podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to take on the world. Now go step back into your power. The world's been waiting for you. But first, if you could, leave me a review or share with a friend. Thank you.
If you love today's episode, then say it out loud. Subscribe, leave a review, and come say hi over on Instagram at My Name is Vasavi. Until next time, say it out loud.